These are called Bobbinsavers, and they hold bobbins. They hold either plastic or metal bobbins. And this is one of my very favorite things because it keeps everything very neat and they're really easy to use. So you can actually like throw this thing around, put it upside down, the bobbins are not coming out. The red, purple, and blue hold regular size bobbins, and the green one holds M-class bobbins, which are bigger. But it just works like this. So you wind up your bobbin, stuff them in there, and they're in there. And it holds up to 20 or even more bobbins. These are called Wonder Clips, and they are alternatives to using pins. And they're really great for when you're working with something that's on the heavier side that would be tricky to pin, especially when there's a lot of layers, and really, really good for working with cork or leather or something that you can't pin at all. They're really quick to use and they hold really well. Here are a few of my favorite marking tools. So you always need something that's gonna mark light and dark fabrics. And this one's awesome because you got light on one side, dark on the other, and it sharpens like a pencil. And you'll just wipe those away with a damp cloth. This one I use all the time, but it only really works on lighter fabrics. It's a blue marker that erases with water. This one is similar, except for it is an air eraser. So you can make your mark and you can either wait a couple of hours for that to disappear, or you can erase it immediately with the eraser on the other end. This one is a 3-in-1. Just by spinning this top end, I can get a dark colored pencil. I can get a light colored one, and those are both refillable. And then in between the two, I have a marking tool that doesn't actually leave any ink. It just makes a mark in your fabric. It works well on darker fabrics. And this is a chalk marker that has a wheel that leaves a line of chalk. It's really good to use with a ruler. This thing is called Carol's Box Corners, and it is a ruler that you use for marking box corners. I use it all the time. So here's a corner I've got ready to go. The nice thing about this is that it shows you where to line up that center seam. So I'm gonna put the center line down right there. And I know right away if it's not opened up right because my edges won't be lined up. I can even open this seam up and put that in there. And so that's a 5-inch box corner. I can just move it down to the 4-inch, the 3-inch, whatever I need to do. And then you mark across there. And that's where I'll sew. So now I've sewed across that line. Box corner is complete. This is a set of tube turners, and it comes in 3 different sizes. The biggest one is great for turning ties, even stuffed animal limbs. Works really, really well. I made a very tiny one here just to show you. This is one of the trickiest things to turn, but all you have to do is slide the tube all the way to the end, and then use the stick piece to gently push in the top. It's done. This is called a fabric folding pen, and this is really nice for folding over a small amount of fabric when you're turning something for an applique, or if you just don't have your iron close by, or if you find it tricky to iron it, you can use this instead. This comes with the fabric folding pen and then this little bottle of liquid which gets used with water, so it will go for quite a long time. So I want to fold over about 1/4 inch. So I'll just put my ruler down, run that along there. It easily folds on that line and stays. This is wash away Wonder Tape and this is washable glue. They're both used for similar purposes. The glue stick is refillable and you can sew through it without gumming up your needle. Doesn't hurt your fabric. So I used it when I was sewing this piece down because this would be impossible to pin. So you can just glue it in place and then stitch it down. It works for working with knits and that kind of thing too. Wonder Tape I use the most for zippers. So rather than pin the zipper in place, you can run a line of tape across the top. It's double-sided and washes away with the first bit of water, and most of the time it doesn't show anyways. Peel off the backing, and then you lay your zipper down in place. It holds it perfectly in place for you while you sew. This is called Fray Check, and it's handy to have around in your sewing room because you can use it to stop tiny tears from continuing or to stop a little edge from fraying, especially for fabrics that fray a lot. I use it quite often at the end of my serging stitch because then you can just put a little drop of it where your tail is, and then it kind of glues it down in place and it won't wash out. It dries clear. You can always test it on a scrap before you do this. This is called tracing paper, and this is a tracing wheel, and you can also use this thing, which is called a Hera Marker, for the same thing. So these work together to make lines on your fabric. Comes in a bunch of different colors so that you can use it on different colors of fabric. So the way it works is you put colored side down against the fabric. This works well with multi-size patterns. I've got lots of sizes right here, but I just want to use size F. So I'm going to trace along that line, and then when I lift it up I can see where I'm going to cut. The Hera Marker also works without tracing paper. It can be used with a ruler if you need to fold along a certain line. You can see that line there. It's really great for marking your fold or marking your sewing line, and then it's got a point and you can see that spot from the front as well as the back. These are called pattern weights, and they're used for juggling. Just kidding, they're used for holding your pattern down. And so rather than pinning, the weight of these will keep them in place for you while you use your rotary cutter to cut around. This is called a sewing gauge, and I use this thing all the time. It's really great for marking hems or to keep at the iron with you. If you're folding down a certain amount, you can use that as a guide. So I'm going to show you the Babyville snap pliers as well as these Tailor's awls. I use the awls for both poking holes that I need for making snaps, but I also use the awl often just in regular sewing. I have it beside me in the sewing machine, and it's very handy for helping you maneuver fabric and to keep things in place so that you don't actually get your finger sewn, because you can get really close to the sewing machine with this. Okay, so let's do the snaps. This stuff is called Odi-Coat, and it is a gel coating. It's similar, it's kind of like a paste or a glue, and you can use it to coat your fabric so that it becomes waterproof. So you can put this on any fabric. You can put it on quilting cotton, you can put it on canvas. I find that when you use it with canvas, it gives it kind of like a waxed canvas look. So it's really great for bags. So it doesn't take too long to dry. You can wash it afterwards, you can iron it with another cloth on top of it. It's pretty easy to use, easy to clean up. All you have to do is just wipe this down. This is what it looks like on quilting cotton after it's dry. So this is the piece uncoated, and here it is after Odi-Coat. I'm going to show you a couple of bodkins. This thing's called that purple Thang. It's got a lot of different tools in it. You can use it like an awl, but I mainly use it as a bodkin. So bodkin will pull string, cord, elastic through a channel. You do that. This thing's pretty much the same thing. This allows you to grab it from the end, so it's really good for elastic. It pinches, you tighten it on, and then you slide it in through the channel. This is a bamboo point turner, and you can use it to poke out your corners and to open up your seams. So poke out the corners like that, and then slide it along the seam to push that seam out. Especially good to have at the iron. This stuff's called Best Press, and you use it when you're ironing. It's a clear starch. It helps to keep your fabric really nice and smooth, keeps your fabric from moving on you later when you're sewing. So if you have a fabric such as rayon or a very lightweight fabric that tends to shift around on you a lot, you can put some of this on, and then it kind of holds it for you while you're sewing.